when it comes to nesting. You have the parents, they've just raised a brood of babies. The babies grow super fast. Throw on a bunch of feathers, and that way they get off the nest. But those feathers aren't super strong. They're not going to take them through winter time. And so they're also going to completely replace all of those nestling feathers for adult feathers. So they're going to need lots of nutrition to be able to make that happen. Hence our FeatherPro SuperBlend.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Nature Centered, a podcast from Wild Birds Unlimited about feeding the birds and enjoying nature right in your own backyard. Let's find out what's happening at the bird feeders today.
Hey everyone, I am Brian Cunningham, and welcome to episode 111. Today it is all about feather health with FeatherPro. Discover why feather health begins with proper nutrition. And today I'm joined by Amy Nepsa and Gale Jacoby of Yorba and Riverside, California, Wild Birds Unlimited stores. We're going to explore how seasonally savvy nutrition of protein, fats, and calcium support young and adult birds during summer molting. And while sharing their experiences of testing our new FeatherPro SuperBlend and how it can bring more activity and diversity to your backyard. So let's jump in. Well, Amy and Gale, welcome to Nature Centered Podcast. I'm really excited to have you both here today.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Very, very excited.
So, Amy, you are the owner with your husband, Jeff, of two Wild Birds Unlimited stores there in California.
That's right. That'd be Yorba and Riverside.
Excellent. How long have you all been owners?
We're going on almost 5 years for Yorba and almost 3 years for Riverside now.
Well, I've been able to visit with you and visit your stores and staff, and beautiful stores and wonderful staff. You guys really do an amazing job bringing people and nature together. Great expertise. And speaking of that expertise, we have one of your employees with us, Gale Jacoby.
Yes.
Hello.
So, Gale, you're the marketing lead?
Yeah. I get to manage the social media platforms, ensure the signage looks great on our store as well as around the property. And I get to also network and connect with some local companies and such to really put ourselves out there and to really introduce the food, the material as to why they should do it. And it's awesome. It's super fun, just really kind of going out and about with our circles.
That's excellent. So bringing people and nature together and helping connect people to the joy of birds. I mean, what better job could we ever have, right?
Absolutely. I've always had kind of a knack for kind of using art and illustration to kind of put stuff forward. And so when I kind of came across the store and saw just their mission statement, I felt like it was just a good time to use what I knew, but take it a step further. And I absolutely love it. I love being able to use my talents, my profession, and my background to not just help the business, but to also help the birds. I adore them. I absolutely want to kind of advocate for them. And so this has been absolutely incredible and exciting to just kind of take things a step further.
Well, you've been able to take things a little step further because today we're talking about our FeatherPro SuperBlend. And this is a brand new blend. It is just rolling out. You got to be a tester for the blend to help us figure out, do we have all the right ingredients? What kind of birds are showing up? Do we have the right level, quantity of different ingredients and the right mix of it all? So that's what I want to talk with you today about FeatherPro and just the excitement, how many birds showed up, the activity of those birds, what got you excited about it. So tell me a little bit about, so you have FeatherPro. How did you get chosen to be able to be the one to test a brand new product to help bring it to market?
I spend a lot of time outside, both just out and birding as well as our immediate environment. I am pretty restless in the sense that I love optimizing our stations. I think there's always ways to either nudge it for seasonal purposes, as well as just generally see what else can we do? Who else can we bring? And so Amy found that I was a good fit. And I also know my birds. I absolutely love birding. And so any species that came, I was going to know what it was. If not, I was going to figure out what it was. And it was just so much fun. It was so cool to be handed this fresh new product and just kind of see what happens. That's the fun of exploration. It's just putting a thing out there, stepping back, and just kind of seeing, how it plays out. And sure enough, it was pretty cool to see our frequent flyers, no pun intended, kind of just pop in. So we have our adoring little house finches, our goldfinches, lesser and American. They're always out and about. So seeing them kind of show up was, all right, here you guys are. But it just kind of kept going. We got some western bluebirds that have taken root to our area. So they got in on that. Oh, yeah, they loved it. I saw them definitely digging and snarfing. As well as the more pleasant surprise. I think the one that made me go, was the California Towhee. They're usually ground feeders, so they're always bouncing and kind of scuffling, but I saw them get into the tray feeder. I started out with a big old catch-a-seed tray feeder, and I was delighted to see them get in on that too. So it was just really cool to just watch it all happen. Like, oh my gosh, here they go. They love it.
I love that when that bird that shows up and you're like, I didn't expect you.
Yes.
And to hear the Cali Towhee. Oh, that's so much fun. Any other surprises?
I'm trying to rack my brains here and look at my spreadsheet. My process here was, one, optimize the feeders, and then I love making spreadsheets. I love documenting everything, and so I made a little bit of a guide here. I believe I saw the California scrub jay poke at that a couple times. Of course, our darling mourning doves, as well as the Eurasian collared dove, show a favoritism to that. Sparrows, good old sparrows, they got right in on that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the gist of the primary traffic.
Okay, that's great. Now you had some wonderful birds, kind of your typical, but then bringing in some extra birds that aren't normally coming to your yard. I found similar things. So we had testing of this across North America where, I'm going to call out some stores because we had testers, you all there in California. We also had two stores in Washington, Kezia Coles and Gig Harbor and Puyallup, and actually University Place, so 3 stores in Washington. Oklahoma City, K. Cone store, and then in Brighton, Michigan, Laura's Oats store. Chris Shealy in Columbus, Ohio. And then we had Barb Whipke, Lexington Park in La Plata, Maryland. So we were all across west to east and trying to attract birds, see who showed up. And what an enormous list of bird species we got. I'm really excited about your California Towhee, Cali Scrub Jay. But we got, as you look at broad list, woodpeckers galore, eastern and western bluebirds. Most of the chickadees, we did not get mountain chickadee. I don't think we were in a market with the mountain chickadee, but we got all these other chickadees. Tanagers, western tanager and summer tanager.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Western tanager, I love, is starting to become more of a feeder bird, just little by little.
All right.
Wow.
All
And
right.
I'm so stoked about that. Of course, we don't get those in the east, but I'm so stoked that western tanagers out west because they're such a beautiful bird.
They're stunning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I love your little sing song.
Yes.
That's the fun for it. Like I hear it with our customers as well. Like I always ask them, what birds have you seen? And you hear the common ones, but every now and then I'll do a double take at how on earth did you get that guy? Like, I think this week alone, someone mentioned a horned lark, which was a holy smokes moment. Like, what? You got that guy? Like, wish that were me. And that's just the fun of it. It's just you never know what's going to happen. And that's the fun of exploring it and just trying something new. Just putting it out there and seeing just what happens. And surprises, I love that. I love that little double take up. Oh my gosh, a new friend.
Woohoo! Yeah, there were other neat birds. Grosbeaks, both black-headed and rose-breasted, so covering west to east. Nuthatches, numerous different species of nuthatches, west to east. Cardinals, wrens. Those are a lot of the highlights, all from one blend.
Have you ever thought about turning your love of backyard bird feeding into a business of your own? Most Wild Birds Unlimited store owners started out just like you, finding joy and connection in feeding the birds. When they opened their own Wild Birds Unlimited franchise, they transformed a simple hobby into something more. a purpose-driven business that serves their communities and connects people with nature. If you're ready to turn your passion into something that truly matters, visit franchise.wbu.com to get started.
So FeatherPro SuperBlend, Wild Birds Unlimited, we have different super blends that are seasonal. We have a winter one, we have a spring nesting. This fits in right after nesting, that FeatherPro part. And then we have some caching food recommendations, and then you get back into the winter super blend. So this is really a blend that when the product team came to me and said, we kind of have this hole, and we want to fill this hole when it comes to seasonal blends that are really going to benefit the birds and be very specific. What's the right thing? What are the birds needing? And this is where once you're done nesting as a bird, the next thing that happens is molting before we get into winter, whether you are a year-round bird where you live or you're even a migrating bird. So FeatherPro became that blend we were looking at, and what are the right ingredients to really be able to say, all right, if we're going to focus on molting and helping birds, it comes down to what are the right ingredients and the right building blocks for the birds to grow their feathers. And I think that goes back to, all right, what is the role of a feather? So do you guys talk about the roles of feathers in the store at all?
I do bring it up. We get a lot of curious customers, so they come to us as the bird experts. And I think the one that lends as a good opportunity is the northern mockingbird. Those guys really know how to mold. They're almost unrecognizable. So I've had people come up like, what bird is this? And I'm like, low-key a turkey with that plumage. But I'm like, oh, it's a northern mockingbird in molting plumage. And they're like, what? How can you tell? I'm like, there's little details. But yeah, this guy is shedding off those old feathers and he's gearing up for the new ones. That's the between season look. And so it's pretty cool to kind of talk about that because you almost don't know what you're looking at. So it's really cool to dive into it deeper and say, oh, they're at their next phase of life. They're done nesting. They're moving on.
The goldfinches too. The goldfinches. Oh yeah. They just really confuse so many people. What is this bird? That's a goldfinch. What about this one? That's also a goldfinch.
Oh my goodness.
Two completely different looks, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so we have a chart up in the store that shows all the different phases of the goldfinch throughout the year, the lesser and the American, so people can actually see it's the same bird. Well, the lesser of the same bird and the golder, the American. Yeah.
It's interesting too that when you have that molting process, when it comes to nesting, you have the parents. They've just raised a brood of babies. The babies fledge off the nest, and how all of these songbirds, the babies grow super fast, and born naked, throw on a bunch of feathers. It's kind of like getting up late for school and you just throw on whatever clothes you can to get out the door. And that way they get off the nest. But those feathers aren't super strong and super durable. They're not going to take them through winter time. And so after they've left the nest, they're bouncing around for a little while. They're still growing. They're still finishing the ossification of bone and their skeletal structure, and they're also going to completely replace all of those nestling feathers for adult feathers. So they're going to need lots of nutrition to be able to make that happen. And then the other piece too is the adults. Once the adults are done nesting, they will do their one time a year molt, and they will transition all of their feathers so that they can go through winter and be ready for next spring with a whole new set of fresh feathers. And so you get into mid to late summer and into fall is the peak time when all of these songbirds are molting. Hence our FeatherPro SuperBlend. Do a callback to previous episode. If you're not feeding birds in the summer, you are missing out. Because like you guys are talking, all these, what bird is that? You get to see so many cool things and different plumages of the birds and different behaviors of the birds because they're bouncing around molting, but they need to find places that are quality food sources.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about having FeatherPro now and being able to help folks have new birds or new experiences in their yard?
It feels really good. Like I know a tagline we have here is seasonally savvy, and that's exactly what it is. It is being conscientious of the different seasons and its different needs. Nature is not consistent, or in either of the birds' appearance, their needs, their habits. And so I love that this product dives deeper into that. We have, ways to help them during nesting season and winter, and having this extra boost to me is just another way to really think of the little guys and to ensure that they're going to be healthy and strong. The elements are rough out there, and especially with habitats always shifting, ensuring that they have a consistent source of nutrition and benefits, I think is super important. And this is just one thing we can do to save the songbirds, to really give them that boost.
It was definitely the missing piece that we needed, the transitional food between the other two. And it was just so exciting to find out that this product was in development, and even more exciting to know that we were able to field test it ourselves with our Western birds. And it's all around just exciting, just to be able to give them the things that they need when they need it.
So let's talk about the actual delivery of FeatherPro SuperBlend, what folks can actually use in their yard. So what can they purchase at your store?
I used, I believe, 3 different primary feeders. It was the catch a seed tray underneath our hopper feeder, a cylinder feeder, and a flying start feeder, and same for the hot pepper additions. I definitely leaned on the catch a seed because my goal was to ensure that every opportunity was available, big and small. I didn't want to alienate any of the birds, and that was effective. There were some bigger bits in there, making it accessible for the jay and towhees and the mourning doves and Eurasian collared dove to get in on that. So that was a wonderful way to make it as accessible as possible. And I'm always a big fan for the cylinder feeder. I absolutely love just putting that up, stepping back, and letting it run itself, letting the birds comfortably pick at it. It works really well. It worked well to have both the cylinder version and the hot pepper version. We have lots of squirrels here, as every yard has. And so it was also nice to see that there was a way to ensure that the birds got to it and not the squirrels.
Right. Well, I'm excited about the hot pepper version. I think a lot of folks are going to be really excited about the hot pepper version because this is our first seasonal blend that has a hot pepper version in it. What's also really exciting is I'm going to announce here is that as we roll out our future super blends, as we then get into winter and then go into spring, we will be rolling out hot pepper cylinder versions for each one of those seasonal blends too. So we'll eventually have all of our seasonal blends with a hot pepper version. So super excited about that, right?
Nice.
That is major excitement right there.
Absolutely. I always love having more hot pepper options.
Yeah, we definitely need hot pepper here, as Gale mentioned. So our store sits in its own yard. So we actually have an environment to test as if it was in someone's own backyard. So it's not just a little strip mall with a piece of grass. We literally have our own yard, our own trees, our own bushes. And so the birds know where home is and they come. So it's been fun, but the squirrels also come. And so we definitely need that hot pepper.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then, people don't believe it. And then they don't understand the difference between a regular food and a hot pepper and, why squirrels won't come to it and why birds are perfectly okay to eat it. And so, of course, we were given that opportunity to show that to them in our own yard. This is what it'd be like in your yard.
No, I agree. That's my favorite thing to actually educate people on. We get a lot of new people asking, just kind of getting started. I remember being at that stage too. And I love blowing their minds with how do you get rid of squirrels? You can do so politely with just hot pepper. And it's just so fun going, really? Just a little bit of hot pepper? I'm like, oh yeah, no, they feel it, but the birds can't. And sure enough, we get to use that in our yard and show them look, we got the baffles and yeah, I got a cool pole system, but that hot pepper seed right over there, that helps a ton. So I love telling them, just try it, watch. And then coming back going, it worked. Like, yeah, I told you.
That is
super
so
happy.
so satisfying when they come back. And I have this one customer, she's been coming here for years, and I always know what she's coming in. She has beautiful, bright red hair, and it matches the Fiery Feast bag. And she comes in and she gets her bag of Fiery Feast, and that's all she gets. And she says, I have never had something that worked so good. And so to be able to give her more options than just that bag of Fiery Feast or SunFire Chips, now she'll have more options, and she'll be able to attract more birds to her yard this way. So I'm so excited for her. I can't wait to show her.
It also gives like people the peace of mind that what you're buying, because these are supplementary blends, they're meant to be boosts, that they are going directly to the birds that are tended for. And if you want to feed your squirrels, okay. But if you did want to just ensure that your little guys were getting what they needed, you can do exactly that with the hot pepper versions.
It's so exciting to hear you talk about the excitement of working with your customers with these products. I realize too, we haven't talked about the ingredients and the importance of the ingredients for actually growing feathers, which is, in many respects, that's the science behind why the ingredient listing that we have and the levels in there. So we have sunflower chips, we have peanuts with halves as well as diced peanuts, small pieces. So it's because I know different birds in different regions prefer bigger or smaller pieces there. But we have tree nuts. So you guys see it too in your market?
Oh yeah, I got a window feeder and I put Fiery Feast on there because the squirrel found it. And I've had people go like, what do the big nuts get eaten by? I'm like, I've got an acorn woodpecker that rolls up to my window, gets those big little bitsies and runs right off. So, and I love like being able to see that and talk about that. Big birds eat the peanuts. You're going to expand your audience and also provide that essential nutrient.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also have tree nuts and specifically extra pecans because pecans have more of a higher fat. And when it comes to feathers are over the building blocks. It's over 90% protein, but you need those fats to be able to physically grow those feathers as well. So high protein with those other ingredients, but then the extra fats. Dried mealworms brings in some proteins and fats. But bark butter bits, that's where our calcium is. You know, we talk about young birds still growing and like ossification and their skull is still knitting together. You need some calcium as well with the feathers. So bark butter bits has that, plus protein and fats. And Nutrisaf in there too. So lots of amazing ingredients to really help the birds grow those feathers and help build the structure of those feathers. But it's also, we still have some birds that are late nesters that this is great, still can be really good for those who are still nesting, and then even for the nestlings. That we brought some of these different foods, help them to grow and get out of that nest and get out into the world and be successful.
That's so exciting.
It really is. And that's what I love about this, is just how much thought was put into it and how deliberate were the ingredients. And what I love about our blends especially is, because a lot of people ask, like, how can I hit all the marks? And I could tell them we have a blend that does exactly that. It is curated specifically to be as nutritious and as effective and conscientious of their, needs, both transitioning as well as, like you said, a few little late bloomers. I know goldfinches, I believe the summer is when they mate and have their nestlings. And so we are keeping all of that in mind with this.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully. It was fantastic. It is true. A lot of effort, a lot of thought. It's very, very purposeful. We are for the birds, and we want to do our best for the birds, and we want to have the best products for our birds. And so doing these seasonally savvy blends and filling those niches to make sure we've got all the right things that's going to help the birds. It's going to help them at the right seasons for all the right nutritional needs that they have at that time, so that it's a supplemental food they can come to our backyard and watch. We can watch them while they're coming and feeding. So it's wonderful to be able to attract them. You guys have talked about so many wonderful birds coming in just from the testing. So I can't wait to hear how so many of your customers are starting to see, I have this bird, I have that bird. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
No, for sure. I often tell our customers, because they'll ask, like, like, oh, but I've been using this seed, and I like to explain, from other places. And I explain that what we make here is made for the birds by bird lovers, that there is knowledgeable passion behind the product, and with the motivation of just really, really helping them, as well as bringing a smile to you when you knowingly know that you're supporting them effectively and sincerely, but also you get to just see that beauty before your eyes. Like, I tell people, like, come, see during all the seasons. Nesting season is beautiful. I love watching the little babies come around, but also seeing that next stage of, that molting, the growth and development is also just fascinating to watch. And it keeps going. The caching, the winter flavor, it's awesome in all seasons. And being able to ensure that you get to participate in that with these blends is like part of the hype of it. I had a customer come in asking me, like, all right, I'm looking for the feeder that will like hit all the boxes, that's good for every bird and make, and it's like really good and safe for them. And it was kind of cool to explain, like, actually, it's sure there's some universal feeders, but everything here has different design based upon the different needs of birds. No bird, they don't eat the same, not the same items, not the same way. And so what you see here is that diversity to ensure that every bird can get what it needs in different ways. And she got super excited to learn. She goes, oh, I'm like, yeah, no, like it'd be cool that just you're one and done, but you're not. And that's the fun of it, is truly trying out every different feeder, the blends that come with it, to take each thing a step further and really serve the wide variety of birds. That's my favorite part about birds, that they're so inconsistent. I was telling my husband, like, it's so fun that, their behavior, their song, their design, there's no pattern. You see some tropical birds, those guys are crazy. And that's the fun of it, is it's always a surprise. And you never know what you're going to get. And that's the fun of these blends, is truly surprising yourself, all the while, like, helping them, taking care of their health.
Well, it has been a lot of fun talking with you two. Thank you so much for the time and for the testing and all the feedback you gave as we were developing the FeatherPro SuperBlend. So any last parting words?
I just want to say thank you so much for asking us to do this, starting from the testing to the podcast. It's just been so fun, and it's our pleasure and our privilege to be able to do that. So for our customers and for our birds. So we're super excited, and we just thank you so much.
Likewise, absolutely thrilled to see this new product, and we can't wait to put it out on the shelves. I've already made the materials for it, just chomping at the bit to really show this cool new thing and go, look, like, try it. We did, and we loved it, and so will you. Oh,
I think everyone's going to love it. I think you're absolutely correct. We all testing loved it, so it is time to have it out for the birds. So I thank everyone for tuning in to today's episode on feather health and FeatherPro. If you learned something new, if you liked what you were hearing, please rate and review us, and join us next time, because we'll be talking about foundational feeding and its benefits to late summer birds, kind of like FeatherPro, and benefits to you. So until then, we'll let nature be our guide. Please take care, enjoy the birds, and keep those feeders clean. Thanks for joining us.
To subscribe to the podcast, access show notes, or find a Wild Birds Unlimited store near you, visit wbu.com/podcast. As always, we love it when you share nature-centered with a friend. But what we really hope is that you take a moment to slow down, enjoy the birds, and stay nature-centered.